Peeps, I'm back. I wanted to share something. I feel like I finally am ready to share something rather publicly, because the experience I've been going through has been so profound to me, and I'm looking for, hopefully, to find people who experience the same thing or similar to it. And I am still undergoing this journey that's different than anything that I would really expect, even though I know I really wanted it to happen. It's just so strange, and I was hesitating to share this experience because you don't want to seem like a crazy person or like there's any woo-woo stuff happening. Or basically what's been happening to me is that I am experiencing something that I really want to call a spontaneous healing. However, it is far from spontaneous. It's really gradual, and I feel like I haven't done really anything special to get here or to make it keep going. I haven't really been extremely disciplined, because I have people in my life who are very good at disciplining themselves, at least better than I am, even though those people don't think that they're very disciplined. Like my boyfriend, he is very diligent, and he's habit tracking and book reading and following the instructions, and I'm a little more loosey-goosey on things. But long story short, I've lived with scoliosis my entire life, and the stiffness that I felt in my body felt so normal that until I started feeling the relief and the releasing of tension, I didn't compute how much energy that tension was taking from me. And it took some long journey of understanding the metaphysical aspect of life, energetic work. I haven't done any woo-woo stuff like I studied for one class of Reiki, and I don't know if it's really, I know that it's really a thing, but I haven't really applied it on myself as diligently as I think I should have. And I found out that maybe all the concepts that we're learning from other people, not necessarily what we need to work on ourselves. But if I'm capable of listening to my internal guidance system and listening to my body, if I can heal my scoliosis, I'm confident anything can be healed. And the reason I will be talking about scoliosis is because I lived with it my whole life, and I'm now undergoing the healing process that is naturally happening to me. Yes, I'm implementing certain things, and I take some supplements, very minor, and I will share everything that I'm doing, because maybe it's helpful to somebody. Or if you experience something like this and looking for a feedback, maybe I can be that feedback, and we can communicate and collaborate on how to actually train the body to heal. It already does it naturally. We just really forget that there's the internal intelligence that operates the nature along with human body, and it's capable of healing on its own. All it takes is attention, really, or focus. And I'm not even considering myself that strongly focused person, really. But there are certain things when I choose to pay attention to, they just line up. And I'm certain if there's people who experiencing cancer, for example, they can vibrate themselves out of that situation and into a healing simply by trusting that that's what the nature wants for your body. The universe is intelligent enough that it wants to heal itself. The regeneration is a thing, My thinking process was for a long time, but it hasn't really sunk in until recently, that if you can heal a paper cut, you can heal a broken bone. And if you can heal a broken bone, you can recover anything else within your body. That's the thinking, or maybe habitual unconscious clutter that you have within your body that has the resistance that we're so used to holding on to, that without releasing it, we don't know how much ease we can experience. So I'm not gonna tell you that, yeah, if you have cancer, you can heal it. I believe that you can. It's a matter of you to also believing that you can. But I haven't experienced cancer. So I've experienced scoliosis. I've heard of stories where people had complete cancer remissions. I have not met those people. I've met people who have recovered from it through chemical infusions and whatever chemical treatment for cancerous patients that exist. But with scoliosis, I also feel like it's a big problem that we experience. We don't even know how it happens sometimes. And when I thought there was one situation that has caused me having scoliosis, and then as I was working through it and implementing yoga into healing my physical body and the bone deformations, really not deformations but misalignment of my spinal cord, for example, that I just lost my train of thought. Help me out. Okay, let's start over. Basically, healing is possible. I believe it because I feel it, and I trust it, and I want to share with everybody that if I can focus my attention in a way that helps me heal my body, then you can do it too. I was talking about why scoliosis, because I lived with it, and basically what's been happening, I've been feeling this tension in my back, in my body as I wake up, especially when you sleep and you wake up stiff and it feels ridiculous throughout the day. You have the neck hurt, you have the spine hurting, and you have to navigate through the day. And for my entire life, I thought that's just normal. Everybody's complaining about their back hurting. And there was time when I realized that I can feel better with just implementation of breathing techniques, and I haven't done anything crazy. I know people do Wim Hof exercise, there's intense breathing exercises, that's actually sometimes a lot of fun to do. But how it happens to me is I knew that I had some deformations in my back. I didn't know exactly what it was. I was never diagnosed with scoliosis officially by doctors, and I'll share to you how I found out about it. When I was younger, I was maybe 11 or 12, and me and my friends were hanging out, and I had a top that had my back open. And one of the friends, we were just sitting, chatting, and he asked, "Do you have scoliosis?" I was like, "No, I don't." And he looked at, and he told me that when I look at your back, and you sitting normally relaxed, and I see that your spinal discs, they sticking out like dinosaur spikes. And he's like, "My brother has that, and he was diagnosed with scoliosis, that when you have curved back, your vertebrae will stick out of your spine a little bit. And when your back is healthy, your spine is kind of caved in between the spinal muscles, and you have nice arching back." And I will draw you a picture in a second just so I can kind of illustrate what I'm saying, because I have not honestly been documenting every step of this happening, because what was more important for me to focus on the healing itself. So he told me that seems like you might be having scoliosis. And I grasped on that idea. I didn't really put it together because I did have, at some point when I was also 11 or 12, I went to, I've noticed when we had physical education in school and we were running, and you know how sometimes when you run, your liver starts hurting, your stomach will crunch up because you're moving too fast, too quickly, out of nowhere. And not only that would happen, I had under my collarbone, there's an artery or a vein that goes underneath here, and it would pulsate so strongly and so powerfully to the point that I would be afraid of what's happening because it's bulging out vein just on one side, and I don't know why is that. And when I would feel underneath my collarbone, I would feel that there is some really tough, I thought it might be bone growth. I didn't know exactly what to think of it. I once was sick and had my lymph enlarged, and it was kind of hardened. And the doctors were telling me just to, take it easy, relax, drink more water, for lymphatic system to kind of clear up, which I knew very little back then about. And that bothered me so much. I went to doctors. Doctors well, it's probably just a lymph, drink more vitamins, go get your teeth checked. And I did have pretty bad teeth back then, and I went to dentist diligently to fix all the teeth to make sure that it's not the nerves from my teeth impacting my lymphatic system that's stressing out. And up until, it's still there. Nothing helped, really. Up until recently that I realized that I have spinal discs I used to have spinal discs that were so intensely misaligned that my 7th vertebrae is hanging over the first thoracic vertebrae in a way that, so imagine if your spine is like this, right? Actually, what am I doing here? Sorry, I could hear you. So the spinal disc like this. Imagine that this would be my neck vertebrae, this would be my chest vertebrae, and the collarbone is right here in between. So imagine that my 7th vertebrae that starts here is like this, and my first thoracic vertebrae, which would be this, is caved in and pushed forward. So you can't even feel it. I couldn't feel it for the longest time, that I actually even have that vertebrae. But guess what? I feel it underneath my collarbone. When I looked, and I'm an artist, I've somewhat learned the anatomy of human body because we have to know the structure of it. And I realized that that's the vertebrae, and it's shaped like a little cylindrical thing with 2 prongs sticking like this, right, left and right, basically like that. And each vertebrae is like this. And one of the vertebrae is caved in, and the prong is pushing underneath my collarbone. And this is how I felt that pressure, because there's also an artery going right over it. And I didn't even think to ask any doctors to do the x-rays to check on my spine, because back then I didn't even know, I didn't think. Only now when I started learning to listen to my body, the structure of my skeleton just spoke to me and revealed itself in muscles, in how it feels, how they need to be brushed up. And by brushing the muscles, I mean simple breathing. How I discovered it is when I just came to United States, my mom signed me up for 10 yoga classes. And I already back then knew about yoga. I haven't really tried much of it. I had some friends who tried to practice pranayama with me, which with breathing exercises. I also felt like, you're breathing. Nothing that crazy about it. But I used to hang out with people who were like Krishnaites and fun guys. But I didn't really understand much yoga. I thought it was just exercising thing. Mom signed me up for yoga. I was like, okay, let's go try it. I felt so good doing yoga because I didn't realize how stiff my body was. And when I was using the postures that yoga proposes, I felt certain relief. I felt more tension in certain areas because I didn't realize how tough that was. It was so cringed. And then when my 10 classes were over and we didn't sign up for any more to continue, I don't know if it was the money issue, I was supposed to be going back home to Russia, but I would practice at home sometimes because I knew in classes I felt good, my body felt really happy about it, and I would go home and just whatever I remembered from yoga classes, I would just repeat the postures and do it my own way. And at one time I realized that I was standing in a warrior pose and I was trying to find an alignment, and I feel where my back hurts, and I took breath, very slow and steady breath, and I felt how breathing actually lifted up some of my muscles, and when I would exhale, it would kind of brush it, it would kind of glide it down, and if it was some like invisible massages, kind of rolled my muscles up and rolled my muscles down. And I just knew, I didn't even know how to explain it, I just knew the breathing in certain yoga postures felt good, and I would try it. And I did not know about any metaphysics back then. I could not see into my body. I did not really meditate because I didn't consider that a thing at that time. But that's something that I feel like has started my journey. And by brushing the muscles, I mean, and this is I already learned later on, knowing what I know now. When we breathe with our diaphragm, and for people who actually go to yoga classes, and I am a graduate of Himalayan Yoga and Meditation School, excuse me, I learned, that's my work alarm, I gotta go to work soon. I learned that a lot of yogis recommend diaphragmatic breathing because they say it heals everything. Just no matter what you ill with, do diaphragmatic breathing. And I was like, well, it couldn't be just panacea for anything just like that. However, maybe it can. Maybe it can. What I've discovered, your diaphragm muscle, it's a membrane that basically separates your rib cage and your guts, your intestines. And when we're inhaling, the diaphragm actually works in reverse. It feels like, I used to think that when you inhale, you kind of feel you're expanding, right? And when you exhale, you're kind of shrinking. But the diaphragm, when you inhale, diaphragm goes this way and pushes away the intestines. So your tummy inflates. And then when you exhale, the diaphragm curves up, the intestines sink in, and your lungs squeeze out the rest of the air. And that action alone brushes your muscles, because that membrane, the diaphragm, is connected to the circumference, to the radius of your torso, which separates the rib cage and the intestines. And guess what? That muscle connected to a lot of muscles around your rib cage and to a lot of muscles around your pelvic floor as well. And guess what? Your spine here, so your diaphragm is hanging, not hanging, it's literally going around your body like this. And when you inhale, let's try to show it like this. You inhale, you push down your gut, right? And these muscles in the back, diaphragm, pulls it down. It actually goes with it. And then when you're exhaling, your intestines cave in, your lungs exhaling the air, diaphragm goes up, and it pulls these back muscles up. And that's what it does. The reason I felt it, when I started doing the diaphragmatic breathing, I couldn't sit down and meditate because it would pull my back, and my yoga teachers would be like, well, you have to sit straight, straighten up your back, your shoulders and trunk, and neck have to be all aligned, and that would hurt. I understood it was the right way to sit and meditate, but it would hurt, and I couldn't do anything about it. And yes, I would do yoga more, and after I do yoga, if I sit down to meditate, it actually feels better, but I still feel that tension, and sometimes I feel but I have improved so much releasing that tension that now I can sit down and meditate and not feel that ache anymore. Because I also allowing the diaphragm to actually do its work, and it's a core muscle that was so untrained in me, and that I thought that I was just born sickly, and when I was born, there was a condition I was told I had, and I just lived with it because I thought that was the cause of it. Apparently it was not. I also discovered through understanding my emotional and thought correlations that it's a whole different story, which I will probably share later because I have to get ready for work soon. But what I'm trying to deliver is that we can heal our body simply by paying attention to what it tells us. And I feel like meditation has also helped me tremendously, not only because I need to remove my thoughts, but I'm paying attention to the content of my thinking and my emotional content. Or if I'm in meditation and I have a thought come up that maybe feels disturbing, I used to judge it and try to run away from it in my mind, but I started leaning into it and feeling, okay, if this thought came up and I feel this tension in my body right here, could there be a correlation? Because my theory is that the images that you're experiencing in your mind and your thinking, like however your thoughts interpret themselves, it's only a translation. They say the thoughts supersede the feelings. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but what I'm experiencing is that there are some feelings that are so stagnant that were created or were experienced and grasped onto and put in a vault, that it's still like your body still knows that it's there in the vault, but it's still causing some muddiness in your vibrational state of being. And that's probably all of it was probably a lot. And I want to have an organized way to deliver it to people that my experience is really nothing unique. I'm not doing anything special. I still eat the foods that I like. I eat relatively healthy naturally. I take normal supplements, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E. I really not doing anything special. I still drink coffee. I still drink occasional beer. I'm not that special, but I'm experiencing healing, and I want to share it with the world because I do believe that the universe is intelligent enough to build nature, and nature is intelligent enough to heal itself and rejuvenate. And again, if we can heal a paper cut, and if we can heal broken bone without surgery, which you can, I've done it, then you can heal anything else. All it takes is attention and focus and willingness to open yourself up to what your body feels. Not suppressing it, but allowing it to speak to you. And by speaking to you, I mean that when your body hurts and it experiences pain, you allow that pain to be and observe what your thinking and what emotions are telling you. Because if we suppress it, we're not allowing that to kind of stream through, then it just stays cluttered. And I'm all about decluttering. I love decluttering. I'm maybe not the most perfect declutterer ever, but I'm also realizing that there are certain habitual thinking that I'm willing to declutter. I'm willing to release certain things. I'm willing, and simply by understanding the feeling. Sometimes we have feelings that really hurt and we want to blame others for how we feel and what happened to us. Nevertheless, if we pretend that everything is just one thing, which I don't know if it's pretend thing, it most likely is. Excuse me. We we have no one else to blame. If we blame ourselves, we're only hurting ourselves. And in yoga, there is also one of the first principles, ahimsa. In yamas niyamas, which there's 8 principles that teach the discipline of yoga. And yoga is a connection to the universe. It's not just exercise. Ahimsa means no hurting, mean or do no harm to anything or anybody, including yourself, and including in your thoughts and in your feelings. Because we often beat up on ourselves, we blame ourselves for doing or not doing something, we get being really harsh on ourselves because we think that we have to be up to the expectation and the image of what society tells us we're supposed to be like, and this is not necessarily true. It's not a fact, it's a belief. And you can shift your beliefs, and you can shift your vibration, and you can shift your healing, and you can shift your body. You can be better, you can be stronger. If you believe yourself that you can, you are so worthy, you are so welcome, you are so cool. And every single one of you. And even if you think that you are not, then you just have yet discovered yourself. You gotta explore if you want to know who you truly are. You gotta explore inside. You gotta question yourself, what do I feel? Why do I feel this? Because I've been questioning. I have this pain in my back, and where the heck did it come from? And I was told stories from my childhood, like, well, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And certain things I was like, okay, well, this would make sense, but is it true that this is this thing that's causing me? Guess what? I was blaming my family for how my back felt, and I was thinking just reckless parenting. Guess what? I found out that actually that was my own doing, that my back got in the condition that I got. And it was very humbling, and it was very mind-opening, vortex-opening, and soon I will share with you exactly what I think were the events, what I initially thought was the causation of it, and what I now understand might have been the causation of it, and try to walk through my journey to express what happened to me. And if you are also someone who is experiencing something similar, if you're experiencing spontaneous or gradual healing or remission of something, I welcome you to reach out, because I want to hear that story. I want to talk with real people who are experiencing what I'm experiencing, and please, I would really love that. And I'll make a new video soon, and hopefully I make some sense. You guys have a wonderful day. Keep being awesome.